Alrighty, so the Aegis Defense Line. Take a look at my beautifully unpainted Aegis Defense Line. Oh, it's all black and you can't see what's going on, but trust me, it's evil. It's awesome. I chaosified it. No, this isn't about that. This is about how to use it. So, first of all, let me start off by saying I recommend it for every army ever. There isn't an army out there, including orcs and Tyranid, that don't benefit from my Aegis Defense Line. Even though, like, I think it's stated that the Tyranid can't man the gun in, like, an FAQ or something, I don't care. Take it. So anyway, so what you get with it, most importantly to me, is this right here. You get vehicles and cover. Vehicles and cover. That right there is good enough. It's hard to find good, stable cover for your vehicles, so that's what I like to use it for. Everything else is just kind of a bonus. Even the Hellbrute gets cover. My cat is being annoying. Anyway, apologize. Oh, she stopped yet. Sorry. Anyway, sorry, my Hellbrute's missing an arm. I'm waiting on some green stuff to come into the store so I can give him a thunder hammer. But I did give him a plasma cannon already, as you can see. But anyway, so but yeah, most importantly, you can give vehicles cover. Now the big question is manning the gun. First of all, what gun should you take? I'm a fan of the Hades autocannon. I think autocannons are phenomenal. It's hard to go wrong with any of them. I think that... did I say Hades? I'm dumb. The quad gun is phenomenal. The autocannon is a great thing. Now the autocannon here, I put the chaos little head things on it. But anyway, the autocannon here, it's I like to do is two things. One, in larger games, I take Imperial Guard allies so I can get 2 Colossus siege mortars from my Iron Warriors, and the Colossus siege mortars are usually also in this cluster. Right now I have to proxy them, which is why you don't see them there. But I have plans. This is a finger. Anyway, so in a larger game, in order to get the guard allies, I have to take 4 troops, and with the 4 troops, inevitably, I end up taking a 5-man squad of Chaos Space Marines just to be filler, and usually one of them is manning the gun. The other squad is usually taking a defensive position in front of one of the Colossi, whichever one I deem more vulnerable. But in smaller games, what I'll do is I'll take a Warpsmith, and he doesn't have a lot of long-range shooting. So he'll be just next to the squad and kind of cowering behind it here. This is my Warpsmith. I like to give him the Black Mace because he gets a ton of attacks. And he can't take any other close combat weapons, like other than like the legendary demon ones. So the Black Mace to me works out perfectly because it lets me deal with those ginormous monstrous creatures. I mean, don't get me wrong, Power Fists are good and all, but they're not the way to go. So what he'll do is he'll cower behind this Hades autocannon, and God damn it, I did it again. He'll cower behind the quad gun, and the opponent just can't see him. So that's that. If you don't have an independent character that has no long range, or if anything else like that comes up, well then just a guy in a squad can man it for you. It's not the end of the world. It's just one less bolter, and it's a hell of a lot better than a bolter. I like the Vindicator behind it, which is weird, because the Vindicator is a short-range gun and it's typically thought of as an offensive weapon. I like it as a defensive one, because that way if Terminators try to deep strike and take out my Colossi, which are nearby, for those of you who don't know, the Colossus is a phenomenal gun, but if anybody tries to take those out, then he just deals with them, and at longer ranges, because it's defensive, I took the Havoc Launcher so it can still do some damage. For 12 or 13 points or whatever, it's great steel. The only problem is when you fire ordnance, you can only fire snapshots. You can't fire regular shots. So the Havoc Launcher doesn't get to shoot. Sad face. But the Twin Link Bolter does still, so that's still good. But yeah, so the theme of my Iron Warriors army, because you haven't seen much of it, is just long-range bombardment to get my opponent to come to me, and when they come to me, just put the hurting on them. The plasma cannon I also took to deal with the Terminators and stuff. Don't worry, all green stuff, that little gap at the bottom there. It'll look good when I'm done, I promise. But anyway, so the theme of my Iron Warriors is just long range, and then when they come to me, it hurts them. But this is about the Aegis, which I haven't talked about that much. So the Aegis Defense Line, you can do a lot with it. If you want to get your vehicles the cover save, you kind of have to take advantage of the little, the 4 little corner pieces, and do that number. If you want to definitely take advantage of it, and you just put them in a ring around it, so that way it even gets cover from like the side angle here. Because without these pieces that are taller, put those away, swap them out. Sorry, without the taller pieces, sometimes, you know, if a model comes up, you know, it's still relatively covered, but your opponent can argue it. And then from here, you know, again, your opponent can argue it. And I don't want my opponent to be able to argue it at all. I want it to be like, oh yeah, I got a cover save, motherfucker. That's what I want anyway. So, other things for the Aegis Defense Line, if you run out of room to make a line, like you see here it's kind of a bubble. Typically what people do is make it a line, and that's what you should do actually. Because then you can just get more aggressive with it. But if you run out of room, for example, say you're between 2 terrain pieces. Let's just grab some nearby terrain. This is my gaming board that's just kind of lying about. I just really kind of was like, I'm going to make a video today. Kind of been on a roll lately, so I kind of want to keep that going. But if you make a big line, and you're between 2 terrain pieces, you know, you don't always have, you know, enough room for your big old Aegis Defense Line. And the rule is that you have to be, each piece, each section, has to be touching another section. So if you run out of room, you know, you're kind of boned. So what do you do when you run out of room like this? Like, yeah, I got those pieces down. What about all, you know, that one and those? You know, what do you do? So, a big thing is, for my Iron Warriors, is, like I was saying earlier, is long range. Typically, if an army takes an Aegis Defense Line, they're a gunline army. You don't have to be, but typically. And one of the big threats at long range is barrage. A lot of long range weapons are barrage weapons. As you look at my trash can there. A lot of long range weapons are barrage weapons. So if you have extra defense line, it never hurts to do. I'm trying to make it look good. It never hurts to do a one like this, where it's enclosed, or you can do one where it's like you can do one where it's like this. Like there. And the reason is because if the large blast, I think I saw one on the floor over here. Yes! Is if the large blast lands, like for example, say you've got men in here. Stand her up. There we go. If you've got men in here, and the large blast lands here, and it's a barrage, you don't get a cover save, because it comes from the center of the blast. But if it lands here, you get a cover save, because it comes from the center of the blast, and you have cover from the center of the blast. So, if you do this like inward defense, you know, you get more from barrage. So if your opponent has a lot of barrage, feel free to do that. That's actually going to help a lot, because it's just the way that works. As far as other deployment types, there's, you know, you can just do the big circle. Ain't nothing wrong with that. A little bit boring. Probably my least favorite of all of them, because you just don't get a large front line, which is bad. I'll go up someday. Another thing you want to try to do with your Aegis Defense Lines, when you're deploying and stuff, is get a bulge in your line, like that. So, like, they're closer to the enemy than the others. And you want to do that so that you can put your least valuable troops in there. It's not for, like, the reasons in real life, so you can get crossfire and have better lanes of fire. But it's because if you have the bulge here, then you can put your least valuable troops there and put your more valuable troops here, and they can just die due to the, you know, whatnot going on there. In real life, you want to do that so that you can provide more firepower in multiple areas, rather than if it was just a straight line. You can actually fit more troops with the bulge in there, which is good if you're playing Imperial Guard. Everybody else, we typically just have enough room. If you don't want to take the quad gun, if you don't like the quad gun, which I love the quad gun, I don't see why anybody wouldn't. And don't ever put it there in the bullets. You want it actually like in the back. But if you don't like the quad gun and you end up taking the Icarus Lascannon, or for whatever reason you want to take a comms relay, for example, let's say you're Blood Angels and you really just want all your reserves to come in, that's okay. That's good too. There are options. So if you want better just long-range anti-tank or long-range anti-flyer or a cheaper gun, the Icarus Lascannon's your boy. If you want, your reserves to come in, obviously the comms relay is your boy. Particularly, I like the quad gun. The quad gun deals with light vehicles. It deals with flyers quite well. It can do just about everything but take down a Land Raider, which is what my melta guns and demolisher cannons are for. Typically, I'm all about long range, and 48-inch 4-shot strength 7 twin link gun, pretty good long range. Can't go wrong there. But yeah, the Aegis Defense Line, definitely pick one up. Every army can use it. I literally can't think of one. So if you can think of an army that you think can't use it, post in the comments below, and I'll hit you up on how I would get it done. But yeah, Aegis Defense Line, should rock it.